Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Glory be to Allah, and exalted is He above all they associate with Him. The Almighty, the Creator of the universe, and the self-sufficient Master who neither slumber nor sleep overtakes Him. Praises and thanks are due to Allah, the Lord of mankind and all that exists. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salam ala Rasulillah. Insha'Allah, today is the first episode of Great Women in Islam. And I would like to begin with the story of Asiya radiallahu anha because she is the oldest among them. I will try to make the video short to keep it real and would try to summarize as much as possible to help us understand who is this great woman and what is her role in Islam. No matter how hard we try to explain, we can't do justice and won't be able to narrate her whole life story, but we can just make people aware in brief. In some narrations, I won't use the word was because their title and status stays with them forever. Their status never changed, and they died as believers and mujahids of Islam. Asiya radiallahu anha, peace and blessings of Allah be upon her, is the wife of Fir'awn, known as the Pharaoh. She is the irresistible queen who fights her rights to become who she is. Asiya was the queen of Egypt who has money, status, leadership among women, compassionate, kind and considerate. She was a queen and her efforts were indisputable. Despite all her efforts, she wasn't blessed with children and never gave birth to any child in her lifetime. Her husband, who was the Pharaoh and the ruler of Egypt, was a tyrant, a dictator and a disbelieving king who was not only a disbeliever but also claims to be the God of people as he claimed. This has been mentioned in the Holy Quran. The Pharaoh told people, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la, I am your Lord. To cut the story short, one day this tyrant king had a dream, and the dream was interpreted to him as the Bani Israelis that he was tormenting will emerge one day to overthrow his government. Those people has been suffering for many years because they were the slaves of the Egyptians and they take care of their homes and farmlands. Both the men and women are slaves. Upon hearing this interpretation of his dream, instead of him changing his way of life, I would like to buttress a few points here. This is what happened to many of us. Sometimes when we're doing something that is not right, instead of us changing ourselves, we try to be defensive. So instead of the Pharaoh changing his way of life, he decided to kill all the male children born to the Israelis. He killed many of their boys and let the girls live. This continues for many years. So his advisor or someone suggested to him, if he continues to kill all the males, they will end up having no male servants in the future. Then he realized, so now he decided to kill one year and the following year leaves the babies to survive. He thought that's a wise idea and he keeps taking turn and sending his soldiers to go around to check and look for pregnant women of the cities and towns. If they give birth to a male in the year that he should kill, he orders the soldiers to kill all the baby boys of the Israelis, and the respite year he would leave them to survive. This was his strategy, and Prophet Musa alayhi salam was born in the year of killings, and his brother Harun was born in the respite year. And Allah protected Prophet Musa alayhi salam, and this shows how mighty Allah is, and He is the Lord who gives life and causes death. As it revealed in the Holy Quran, Allah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Allazi khalaqal mauta wal hayata. So Allah is the Lord who gives life and causes death. And Allah makes mention of Fir'awn in the Quran. In one of the verses, Allah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, wastakbaru huwa junudu. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, wastakbaru huwa junuduhu, fil ardi bighayri al-haqq wa zannu annahum ilayna la yurja'un. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, wastakbaru huwa wa junuduhu fil ardi bighayri al-haqq wa zannu annahum ilayna la yurja'un. And Pharaoh was arrogant and insolent in the land beyond reason. He and his horses, they thought that they would not have to return to us. Chapter 28. He was arrogant, selfish and cruel to the poor and the weak. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention in the Quran how he sent Prophet Musa alayhi salam to make da'wah to Fir'awn. In that verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Has the story of Moses come to you? Behold, his Lord called to him in the sacred valley of Tuwa. Go to the Pharaoh, for he has transgressed all bounds, and say to him, do you wish to be purified? And should I guide you to your Lord so that you may fear him?" Then Moses showed Pharaoh the great sign, Al-Ayah al-Kubra, but he rejected it and disobeyed. Then he turned his back, striving hard against God. And he claimed that he is Ana Rabbukum al-A'la, the Lord of the people. The reason why I'm explaining bits about Musa alayhi salam is because we can't mention the story of Asiya without Musa and Fir'awn. And we can't also narrate the story of Musa without Asiya and Fir'awn. So their stories are inseparable. It can't be separated. So Musa alayhi salam was born in the year of killings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala concealed his mom's pregnancy. So the Pharaoh and his soldiers weren't aware. And Allah inspired his mom to put baby Musa in a basket and leave it in the river, which she did. And the baby was later discovered and was taken to the palace of the Pharaoh. It became a disputed case and the Pharaoh wanted to kill him. But Asiya told her husband to let the child live and she will adopt him as a son, since they weren't blessed with children. So Fir'aun accepted the idea and let it go. After that incident, they decided to look for a nanny, but Musa alayhi salam rejected all the women except his mom. That's a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because babies have no choice to choose who should be their nanny. To cut the story short, Musa alayhi salam grew up in a palace and was well taken care of by his own mom. So when he grew up, he accidentally killed someone through a dispute, which was a fight between two people, and they realized he was the murderer. Then Musa decided to run away to escape the Pharaoh and his people from harming or killing him. He went to a place called Madian, and again I will cut the story. I don't want to narrate in detail because today is only for Asiya. Many years after the incident, Musa married and he was trying to go back to visit his family. Then he had a voice. He saw a light. Through that light, when he went, he found he heard a voice, and through that voice, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him in a conversation that he should go and approach Fir'aun to become a Muslim. And Musa was given great signs, Al-Ayah al-Kubra, and he went to the Pharaoh and preached the word of Allah. Through his preaching da'wah, Asiya realized Tawheed. So through the preaching of Musa, Asiya realized who is Allah, which is the oneness of God. Tawheed is the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is another story, how Asiya radiallahu anha became a Muslim, how she reverted to Islam is another interesting story, but we won't be able to explain all that in details in this episode. So Asiya became a Muslim and her husband tormented her. According to narrations, she was crucified and died in a painful manner. She made a famous dua which was revealed in the Quran. Allah makes mention of her supplication for a palace in paradise near Allah, which reads, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِمْرَأَةَ فِرْعَوْنَ إِذْ قَالَتْ رَبِّ ابْنِ لِي عِندَكَ بَيْتًا فِي الْجَنَّةِ. When Asiya makes this dua, عِندَكَ بَيْتًا فِي الْجَنَّةِ, and she continues to say, وَنَجِّنِي مِنْ فِرْعَوْنَ وَعَمَلِهِ وَنَجِّنِي مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. And Allah presents an example of those who believed, the wife of Pharaoh, when she said, My Lord, build for me near you a house in paradise, and save me from Pharaoh and his deeds, and save me from the wrongdoing people. Chapter 66. So Asiya, she does not only make dua to have Jannah, but she also makes mention that she wants a house near Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Jannah. What a wise woman, subhanallah. Asiya is given great status in Islam. Despite being the wife of one of the greatest tyrants, she still believes in Allah. She chose to leave all the wealth and accepted to be tortured by the Pharaoh for believing in Allah. In the Quran, Allah refers to her as an example for the believers. Asiya is an example for the believers. This is all for today, and I hope we've learned something about Asiya. Inshallah, next time we will continue on other 4 great women of Islam. Jazakumullah khairan to everyone. Fi amanillah.